My sister slipped something into my glass at her anniversary party, with a smile that hid betrayal. I quietly switched glasses with her husband. And then everything. Hey Reddit. Original post 32F. Before we dive in, I've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is the best way to support us. It's quick, free, and it truly helps grow this amazing community. Let's start the story. I hadn't spoken to my sister, Lauren, in nearly a year when her anniversary invitation landed in my mailbox, heavy, cream-colored cardstock with gold-embossed lettering, as if forgiveness could be bought with luxury. We were never what you'd call close. Lauren had a way of turning warmth into weapons. Her compliments always had claws, and her affection came with conditions. But when she included a handwritten note, "Let's start over. Come celebrate with us," I paused. Maybe she had changed. Maybe, after all this time, she meant it. I should have trusted my instincts instead. The party was held at an estate just outside the city, one of those places that had its own private gates and valet service. Lauren had married into wealth. Kyle, her husband of 5 years, was a venture capitalist. Suave, clean-cut, rich, and utterly oblivious to the way Lauren operated behind closed doors. Or maybe he wasn't. Hard to tell with men like him. When I arrived, Lauren greeted me at the entrance with arms outstretched and a megawatt smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "You came," she whispered as she hugged me, her perfume a little too strong. "I knew you would." It felt less like a welcome and more like a trap snapping shut. Inside, everything gleamed. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, waiters and tuxedos carrying trays of hors d'oeuvres I couldn't pronounce. Classical music floated from a live string quartet. Kyle was laughing with a cluster of executives near the bar. He looked every bit the golden boy. Lauren floated around the room like a queen, one hand always resting delicately on a glass of wine, the other weaving through conversations like a seasoned politician. I stayed near the edges, sipping my drink and trying to ignore the gnawing in my gut. Then Lauren came over again. "Try the champagne," she said, gently swapping the half-empty glass in my hand with a fresh one she'd been carrying. Her tone was syrupy. "You'll love this one." I looked at the glass. Something fell off. Her smile was too practiced, her eyes a little too wide. I raised the glass to my lips, then hesitated. Call it paranoia, or maybe intuition honed from a lifetime of navigating Lauren's manipulations, but I didn't drink it. I lowered the glass slowly and glanced around. Kyle had just sat down on a velvet love seat by the fireplace, alone for once, swirling his drink and looking bored. Without making a scene, I walked toward him, laughed at some imaginary joke, and switched our glasses while pretending to adjust my shawl. He barely noticed. Lauren did. From across the room, her expression flickered. Just for a second, that smile faltered. Not enough for anyone else to notice, but I saw it, and it chilled me. 15 minutes later, everything unraveled. Kyle stood up suddenly, knocking over his drink. His hands trembled. He mumbled something unintelligible and tried to walk, but his knees buckled. People gasped. Someone called for help. Lauren rushed over in a perfectly choreographed panic, but her face had gone pale beneath her makeup. He collapsed to the floor, eyes rolling back. Paramedics arrived fast. Too fast, almost like someone had expected them. In the chaos, Lauren clutched my arm. "What happened?" she hissed through clenched teeth. I stared at her, my voice flat. "I think you know." She didn't respond. Just stared at me, jaw clenched, breathing uneven. It was the first time in years I'd seen her mask crack. At the hospital, Kyle was stabilized. They said it might have been an allergic reaction. Trace amounts of something, they were still running tests. Lauren played the distraught wife role beautifully. Crying in the waiting room, clutching tissues, asking all the right questions. I stayed quiet. I didn't tell anyone about the glass. Not yet, because now I needed to know why. That night, back at my apartment, I couldn't sleep. I paced the floor, going over every interaction I'd had with her that night. The timing. The smile. The glass. The way she'd kept looking at her phone. Something was wrong, deeper than I had realized. The next day, I returned to the estate. Kyle was still in the hospital. The staff had been dismissed. The house was quiet. I didn't knock. Inside, Lauren was sitting alone in the living room, a glass of wine in her hand, looking out the window like she was waiting for something or someone. She didn't flinch when she saw me. "You shouldn't be here," she said flatly. "Neither should you," I replied. "What was in that drink?" She didn't answer. I walked closer. "You meant for me to drink it, didn't you?" "Not him." Still, she said nothing. Just looked at me like I was a puzzle she didn't want to solve. "Why?" I asked. "What did I do?" She laughed. A cold, hollow laugh. "You always think everything is about you. Then who is it for?" She turned away, her expression unreadable. "You ruined everything," she said quietly. "You have no idea what you've done." I waited for more. She didn't give it. Just sat there, silent, sipping her wine like the world hadn't just cracked open. But something in her voice stuck with me. It wasn't just anger. It was fear. Panic, even. And that told me this went far beyond sibling rivalry. I left before I did something I'd regret. Later that evening, I got a call from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. Madison, Kyle's younger sister. She was out of town and hadn't attended the party, but she'd heard about the incident and was trying to piece together what really happened. She asked if I could meet her. Said it was urgent. We met at a quiet coffee shop the next morning. She didn't waste time. "I don't think this was random," she said. "I think Lauren's been trying to get rid of Kyle for a while now." My blood ran cold. "What?" She leaned in. "He's been trying to divorce her for months." She refused. Said she'd destroy him if he left. Then suddenly they're throwing this big anniversary bash. That wasn't love. That was a distraction. She slid a file across the table. Screenshots of emails, bank transfers, a copy of a prenup amendment Kyle had been fighting to reverse. I stared at the pages, the puzzle pieces finally clicking into place. Lauren hadn't been trying to hurt me. Not originally. She'd meant to poison her husband. But she thought I might suspect something, so she used me as a decoy. Handed me the drink in front of witnesses. If Kyle went down, she could have pinned it on me. Claimed I brought the glass to him. Said I'd always hated their marriage. And if I went down instead? Collateral damage. Just one more sibling rivalry gone wrong. Except I switched the glasses. And now Kyle was alive. And Lauren was. I looked at Madison. "We need to go to the police," I said. She nodded. "I've already spoken to a lawyer." But that wasn't the end. Because that night, I got a message from an unknown number. "You're in over your head. Walk away before you regret it." And then I heard the doorknob to my apartment rattle. Just once. Like someone had tried to open it. Then silence. I didn't sleep that night either. Because now I knew the truth. Lauren hadn't failed. She was just getting started. After that message and the sound at my door, I didn't feel safe in my own home. I slid a chair under the doorknob. Closed every curtain. And kept my phone at arm's reach all night. I kept replaying Lauren's words in my head. "You ruined everything. You have no idea what you've done." She wasn't just trying to get rid of Kyle. She was trying to rewrite her entire life. And I had just knocked over her first domino. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I took the flash drive Madison had given me. Packed an overnight bag. And checked into a cheap hotel across town under a fake name. Paranoid? Maybe. But Lauren had money, connections, and clearly, zero hesitation about using either. By noon, Madison and I were sitting across from a detective at a quiet precinct, presenting everything. Emails, bank records, the prenup dispute, and my testimony about the drink switch. The officer listened patiently, taking notes. I expected skepticism, but his eyes narrowed at the mention of Lauren's sudden invitation and the near-perfect timing of the paramedics. When I told him about the message and the door handle, he didn't brush it off. Do you have security cameras in your building? I shook my head, just to buzz an entry. We'll pull what we can, he said. If your sister's involved in something deeper, we'll find it. But deep down, I knew this wouldn't be simple. Lauren was careful, meticulous, even. She wouldn't leave a trail unless she wanted to. Which meant we were playing her game, not ours. 2 days passed. Kyle remained in the hospital under observation. Whatever he'd ingested hadn't caused permanent damage, but the doctors still weren't sure what it was. Something rare. Something nearly undetectable. The detective called and confirmed that someone had tampered with the building's outer entry keypad around midnight, the same time I heard the handle. No face. Just a gloved hand. Enough for suspicion, but not enough for an arrest. Then Kyle woke up. And everything changed. Madison and I met him in his hospital room. He was pale, groggy, but sharp. When I told him about the glass switch, his face went white. She said it was a surprise anniversary drink, he murmured. I didn't even think twice. He didn't want to believe it, but he wasn't shocked either. That told me everything. She's been cold lately, he admitted. Controlling. Then she got weirdly sweet. Too sweet. I found a burner phone in her desk last month. She claimed it was for work. I didn't push. Kyle handed us a notebook, one he'd hidden in the lining of his gym bag. He'd been documenting strange things for weeks. Withdrawals from accounts he didn't authorize. Conversations she denied ever having. Things moved around the house. And most notably, a bottle of pills that appeared in the cabinet one day, unmarked, with no explanation. That was our smoking gun. The detective took the notebook, and the bottle Kyle had stashed under the bed. He sent it for toxicology analysis. 3 days later, it came back. A compound linked to digitalis, a naturally occurring but lethal plant toxin. Hard to detect in low doses. Easy to mask with alcohol. It was enough. Lauren was arrested the following week. The news hit the local press first. Prominent couple's anniversary ends in poison plot. They didn't name me, but they ran her mugshot. People were stunned. Friends who used to fawn over her went quiet. Her social media went dark. Her law firm dropped her before noon. When I saw her again, it was at the arraignment. She didn't look at me. Just stared ahead, jaw set, as the charges were read. Attempted murder. Fraud. Possession of a controlled substance. I thought I'd feel satisfied. But all I felt was tired. Lauren didn't make bail. Her assets were frozen, and Kyle's lawyers moved fast to initiate divorce proceedings. He thanked me. Genuinely. But there was a weight in his voice, like someone who had been sleeping next to a loaded gun for too long. I returned to my quiet life. My tiny apartment. My job. The world moved on, but I didn't. Not really. Because when your own sister tries to her husband, maybe you, and blames it on family tension, that doesn't just wash off. But it didn't end there. 2 months later, I received a letter. No return address. Inside was a single photo, me, from behind, walking out of the precinct. On the back. I told you to walk away. I reported it. The detective added it to the file. But they couldn't trace it. No fingerprints. No DNA. And I knew. Lauren might be behind bars. But she wasn't finished. She never played the short game. She played the long one. Revenge through silence. Through patience. She had always been good at planting seeds and letting them grow in the dark. Still, I don't live in fear. I upgraded my locks. I got cameras. I stay alert. Because some stories don't end with courtrooms and headlines. Some stories just pause. And wait. That was the moment I realized. With someone like Lauren, the real danger isn't what she does next. It's what she's already set in motion. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your precious time. If you enjoyed this story, then please make sure you subscribe to this channel.